Hi friends, this is Judson here, and I want to be able to share with you today's encouraging word. We're going to be in the book of John chapter 8, and verses 12 to 20. And I'm really glad that we could be able to share this time together. It's good for us to daily renew our mind in God's word, and let's jump right on into it. Before we do that, in John chapter 7, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for this big festival, the Feast of Booths. During that time, he spoke about a lot of different things. One of the things he spoke about is how that he was from the Father, and he is giving testimony to himself. And some of those themes are going to come up again today. Also, he talked about how he was going to go away for a time after his death, burial, and resurrection. He's going to go away for a time, and no one else can follow him. Some of those themes also are going to come up again today. But we believe that this passage over here happened sometime later. It might have happened like the next week or something of that nature. But once again, Jesus is in the Jerusalem area, and he is teaching in Jerusalem after the Feast of Booths. But the same themes keep coming up over and over again in various things. And last time, when during the Feast of Booths, Jesus stood up and said, "I am the bread of life." And there was a whole bunch of various things over there. And I didn't make a big stink about this last time, but that I am statement is a big deal in regards to the book of John, because Jesus has 7 I am statements. And today we come to our second I am statement, and it's a very important statement that he has for us over here. And so let's jump right on into it. The book of John, chapter 8, verse 12. And we're just going to look at verse 12 right over here. And it says, "Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." That's a powerful statement. Matter of fact, I think for all of these I am statements, if we just write these on a card, we could be able to have good pocket nuggets of truth of who Jesus is that can always be able to encourage us. Jesus tells us here he is the light of life. The Bible is very clear. In the world there is light and there is darkness. And the two are not the same. And the light came to pierce and destroy the darkness. The darkness cannot stand against the light. And the Bible, and especially in the book of John, and the imagery that he gives, he shares that our hearts are darkness, that there is a natural human tendency to run away from God, to flee from God, to step away from God, and to be away, to get away from various things, and in the darkness of running and fleeing, that our hearts want to be able to do that. But God is light, and he's pursuing us, and he's coming in and doing that. And also when Jesus tells us that he is the light of the world, and if we follow him, we're not going to be in darkness. If we follow him, we're not going to be in that world of conflict and darkness, and we're not going to be stumbling in the darkness, and all these other various imageries that he has for us. That is an encouragement for us, that we can know that we're on the side of light. What does it mean to be on the side of light? That's the side of moral purity. That's the side that we know that is clean, and that is not defiled in the darkness. It's a side of having true knowledge of the truth with us, and the idea that if we are in the light, that we have the truth with us, and we are not of lies or darkness or crooked ways, various things. Also, the light is an emphasis in regards to the presence of God. When God created the world, the very first thing he said is, "Let there be light." Let there be light. The very first thing God wanted to be able to do was to be able to create a light that separated the darkness. That's the very first act that God does in the entire Bible, and it is arguable, you could argue that is what God is doing throughout the entire Bible, is that he is casting light to separate things from the darkness. And that is a story of salvation and redemption. And that is what we say in regards to what Jesus is and what Jesus has done. So Jesus stands up and he says this very powerful statement. Once again, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." If you hear one thing today, hear that. That's the simple one little thing for you to be able to have here. as Jesus shares this to the audience over there are some Pharisees that doubt Jesus. Verse 13. And it says, so the Pharisee said to them, you are bearing witness about yourself. Your testimony is not true. They're basically saying, hey, you can't say that about yourself. You can't say, like, I'm the light of the world. You need someone else to say that about you. It's kind of boastful and everything. There's no way to kind of verify or judge whether if someone just kind of walks around and says, this is what I am, you need to be able to have some way to verify who that person is. And that's what Jesus is saying over here. And they're saying you need someone to testify. You need someone to witness to that other than just your own word. Verse 14, Jesus said, even if I do bear witness about myself, my testimony is true, for I know where I come from and where I am going. But you do not know where I come from or where I am going. And what we see here is an important element of, if you believe in Jesus' origin, you are going to believe in whether if he is the light of the world. And what I mean by his origin is Jesus' secret origin, to use the superhero lingo. The secret origin of Jesus, which isn't a horrible secret, is that he is God. And nobody, that's not a very good secret. We don't try to keep that secret. We tell everyone that secret. So his origin is he's God. And if you knew his origin, you knew that he is God and man, then you will know that he is the light. But if you don't believe that in his origin that he is God and man, then you won't believe that he is the light. Kind of clear that we have those various things. And so he continues on. He says, you judge according to the flesh. I judge no one. Verse 16. I'm going to come back to that in a second over here. Yet, even if I do judge, my judgment is true. For it is not I alone who judge, but I and the Father who sent me. I'm going to stop here for a second. So Jesus is saying, listen, when he's talking about judging over here, what he's referring to is when you kind of get a feel for someone. Have you ever kind of walked up and tried to buy something from someone and they're selling something, but then you just get a weird feeling about this person, like this person's going to swindle me in some way, and you're just like, no, you know what? I'm not going to buy this thing anymore. You're not condemning that person to hell forever and ever and ever. And so when he's talking about judging here, he's not talking about a final judgment. He's talking about that feel that, when you meet someone and you talk with them and you get a feel for that person. You get a sense of, is this person telling the truth? Is this person a person of integrity that I can trust? Would I buy a car from this person or not buy a car from this person? Would I trust this person to be able to take care of my money or resources or children or whatever it is? When you trust someone to take care of something that's important to you, you are judging them. And Jesus says, listen, I didn't come here to judge on the scales that you judge, because he's saying that we as humans, we judge on a fleshly scale. We judge on a natural human standard. And it is purely by feel and motive. Sometimes, you look at a person and they got the big giant face tattoo all over their face. You're like, that person makes poor choices. That would be a natural judgment. I would make that judgment, you would make that judgment, because you know what? Who gets the giant face tattoo but people that make poor choices? Now, are you going to put your child in care of said face tattoo person? I mean, now, if you want to hire a hitman, you call that face tattoo person. Don't hire a hitman. If you want to go, that route, but you don't want to be able to get giant face tattoo person for the person to take care of your finances. That's a bad choice, because this other person, you can say, you know what, this person makes bad choices. We all judge based off of earthly things. We all judge based off of feel, emotion, just kind of a vibe we get off of other people, and also other things of just, maybe you catch someone lying once and then you catch them lying twice. You catch them lying over and over and over again, and you're like, man, what good is this person doing for me? Because it seems like they are lying and they are not doing good for us at all. It's just an important realization of being able to know that God has for us something really, really important, that we need to be able to know that He wants us to, Jesus doesn't judge us off of these various things. But if He was to judge us, He says in this passage over here, His judgment would be true because, the way He's judging is the Father and all these other various things. And so He continues on in verse 18, I am the one who bears witness about myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness also about me. Actually, I needed to go back. I skipped verse 17. Verse 17, in your law it is written that the testimony of two people is true. I am the one who bears witness about myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness also about me. And they said to him, therefore, where is your Father? And Jesus says, you know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. These words He spoke in the treasury as He taught in the temple, but no one arrested Him because the hour had not yet come. Jesus once again says, hey, if you know my origin, you'd be able to know these things. The law says you have to have two witnesses. I'm going to testify about myself that I am the light of the world. And you know who else is going to testify about that? God the Father. And then he said, well, who's God the Father? Or basically, where's your Father? And he says, once again, if you knew my origin, the idea that Jesus is God and man, if you knew His origin, who He was, then you would know that this statement is true, and that you'd be able to know the Father. If you know Jesus as God, then you will be able to know the Father as God. You cannot get to know the Father as God without knowing Jesus as God. If you try to get to know the Father as God without Jesus, you're going to come up with some sort of false understanding. You're going to come up with some sort of partial truth, because only Jesus is fully knowledgeable of who God is. And that is what He's trying to tell us over here, and that's what He's trying to encourage us. This is the reason why we go to Jesus, and we put our hope in Jesus and our trust in Jesus, and we want to be able to fully focus in on Him. Because you know what? He's the light of the world. And that is good news for each and every one of us. I hope you're able to be encouraged by this. I look forward to seeing you again next time. See ya.